Good morning, friends. I welcome you all to another episode of The Current Affairs. You may recall that sometime back I had requested suggestions from all of you as to what could be included if we are going to do a 10 episode series on what we expect from Prime Minister Modiji and the BJP government, especially the areas where we think some work may have been done but not adequate. And we also believe that it is feasible, commercially feasible, as well as practically, administratively, it is feasible. So we will begin this series today. And what I intend to do is, of course, there can be hundreds of reforms. So instead of talking in detail about too many reforms, we'll try to cover four or five items at three levels. That is, starting at the city level. Of course, city administratively is typically controlled by a municipality, and in all cities, BJP government may not be in power. However, there are many cities where they are either in power and they would have a significant influence. So we will first cover four or five reforms at the city level, which can be initiated by a municipality, in which BJP either has direct control or has influence. Then we will talk about certain reforms and improvements at the state level, especially states in which BJP government is in power directly or as an NDA alliance with some other parties. And finally, we will talk about some reforms at the national level. And we'll talk about three or four or maybe four or five reforms so that it becomes more focused and we can somewhat in detail discuss each of these reforms, what can be done. So today we'll start with city level reforms. And first thing I would say is we keep saying that now India is an economic power. We are the fourth largest economy already. We are marching towards becoming the third largest, etc. So when we talk so much about our economic might and the fact that we are well integrated into the global system, we have trade relations with many countries in the world. We also welcome tourism, etc. So we must remember that millions of people visit India every year, and millions of Indians also visit other countries. So the first impression when anybody visits any city in India, especially when one is out of the airport and when starts commuting in the local area, everybody says that the traffic is indisciplined and the condition of roads is very bad. So of course these are two separate elements. One is the infrastructure, that is the quality of roads, and second is why traffic is so indisciplined. So though these are connected with each other somewhat, these are two distinct issues, and we will cover both these issues. And what we will do is, in order to achieve reforms in at least one of these two areas, it is also important to integrate something with our digital payment system. And though it is not a city level reform, as a background, we will discuss, this particular aspect, which may become heart of many ideas that we are going to propose. So now we know very well that we have the Aadhaar card, we have digital payments, and our Aadhaar is getting linked with PAN. In most cases, it is already so. Then our bank accounts also have a link with our Aadhaar, PAN, etc. So what I would like to propose is some kind of a layered system to be announced by the national government, that there could be many infrastructural improvements for which citizens are expected to pay, residents are expected to pay, as and when they use these facilities. And for this purpose, government shall announce what is the policy of levying the charge and how, people will be grouped into certain economic categories, starting from, the lowest possible income group and then the highest possible income group. Of course, since we have such huge variation in the income, one may argue that even 10 groups may not be sufficient. We may need even 25 or 50 groups. That may be so for some other purpose, but for simple administration of what we are going to cover in this podcast, I would say that maybe three or four layers could be, announced. Where, let's say, there is a facility in a city where it's a cleanly maintained, say, public washroom, then there should be a system where by showing your Aadhaar card or some other government issued card, you are allowed entry. All this is, say, digitally well monitored. And per usage, you have to pay, if you are in the lowest income category, maybe even 2 rupees or 5 rupees. And as you go up in the income hierarchy, maybe you have to pay 10 rupees, 25 rupees, maybe 50 rupee, 100 rupee, and so on and so forth. So by collecting charge like this and also linking it to your income categorization, there shall be sufficient income collected. And if such public utilities are constructed, every 5 or 10 kilometers, square kilometers, that is when you are, let's say, walking within half an hour of your walk, or if you are driving either a bike or a four-wheeler, then say within 10 to 20 minutes of, your travel, you should be able to spot one such public convenience. And if that is used, and frankly, many of us, if not regularly, at some point in time, may have the need to use such a utility. And many people who, have more simpler lifestyle, they may have more recurring use of these facilities, so that they can be maintained like they are maintained in the malls. And this one. So this is one reform that I was going to talk about, though this is not connected to traffic and the indiscipline. But I'm simply demonstrating that when we have some kind of a payment collection system, which is linked to our income, the categories of which are announced by the government, then collection of fee will be facilitated. And then, there is a certain socialism in our society. While we are a capitalist and socialist economy, we have followed this mixed economy approach. And to a large extent, I say that, this approach may have to be continued. We cannot become totally ruthlessly capitalistic, and we cannot, take away the initiative of entrepreneurs to earn profit and announce some kind of a completely government controlled, some kind of a socialistic communist kind of an order. So this mixed approach has served us to a certain extent. And by changing the balance between these two segments, I'm sure we can achieve better. So this is the first thing, that at city level, it can be achieved. It's not difficult. And one may even maintain separate facilities for women, where they feel, safe to approach and use. So financially, I don't see why this cannot be achieved. In terms of space also, there are a lot of areas which are reserved by the municipality for a lot of requirements of a public nature. So maybe every 20 square kilometer or so, something like that can be created. And as a pilot project, they may announce to do it in, say, 2 or 3 cities, and monitoring the progress of how this is going. Then it can be, covered nationally, at least in states and cities where, as I said, the current government has influence. Then let's come to the condition of roads. We know very well that in even industrially well progressed cities, the infrastructure is not all that great. People keep complaining about potholes. People also say that, especially after heavy monsoons, condition becomes very bad. And fortunately, we have an example in city of Pune, where a lead corporator, I don't know from which party, recently gave interview to one leading newspaper, and he said that purely as a pilot project or as a test case, many years back, Pune municipality awarded contract to an expert construction company, which had claimed that they have some special, material which is useful in maintaining high quality of material as well as the method of construction, strictly in compliance with the quality norms. So one stretch of road, that is JM Road or Jangli Maharaj Road, was awarded to this contractor, and they gave 10-year quality guarantee. That is, no major repair will be required in 10 years. And Puneets are delighted that that road has been in effect without any major repair for 39 years. So this is a fantastic achievement, I would say, from that particular contractor. Of course, the contracting company said that we cannot be the lowest one, etc., etc. If such a high quality road is to be built, then it need not be the cheapest in terms of the immediate outlay, the cost of project. However, if you see the condition of the road, that is, it is well maintained over 20 or 25 years, then the what would otherwise cost, to keep maintaining road by doing inferior quality work, that inferior quality work over a period of 20 years or 30 years would be much costlier than, spending a decent amount upfront but ensuring that a good quality road is made. So if Modiji puts his mind to it, and informs all the governments that report into him directly or indirectly, that if this is not achieved, then the people who are in the state unit or the city units from the BJP will be simply removed from power. It's not difficult for him to announce something like that. And then we'll not get into the discussion as to whether this poor quality is purely because of corruption, or there are some other norms that are standing in the way, etc. We'll not spend time in discussing all this. I think this is simply achievable and doable, and all it requires is an honest acceptance that when we say we are such a large economic power, our road network, etc., is very poor, especially the quality of road, the surface maintenance, etc., and that should be immediately done. So far we have talked about two things: maintenance of clean public utilities, washrooms, etc., for all citizens, with special attention to needs of ladies, and the second is the quality of roads. Then the third is the lack of discipline in on the road. And while this is a very big activity, a lot of public-private partnership may be needed to improve, because we, for years and years, people have gotten used to driving without observing lane discipline, or without slowing down before you come to any crossings, or you come to any squares, you come to any turns. So there are many such things that need to be informed and inculcated in the behavior of people. So here again, what I would suggest is those who are aspiring for driving licenses and those who already have licenses should all be asked that government, since we are ISO, we also claim to be an IT might, IT prowess, etc., that contract may be awarded to some of these giant companies to develop apps which test the driving skills of people by creating a lot of hypothetical situations in which you have to suddenly brake without changing the lane. You have to turn by first showing indicator. You have to slow down when you approach a particular crossing, a turn, etc. So all these important disciplinary aspects of riding or driving should be made part of this software, which will create test scenarios, and as if one is a real rider or a four-wheeler driver. When one goes to the app, that kind of a test should be given. And if you don't score, let's say 9 out of 10 or some high bar of performance, you shall not be eligible to drive. And a lot of attempts can be given, a lot of demonstration lessons can be created in the app so that people understand in different languages what is exactly expected of them, which they are not doing, why they are failing in the test, etc. So it shall be a very comprehensive IT application like that. And then, unless you clear this, then you are not given the real test. That is the thing. And some small fee can be also placed. Again, this fee can be collected depending upon the economic category to which you belong. And one more important thing that will have to be done is, if we say that we'll have to somehow change our traffic offices that conduct this test, then I'm sure nothing will happen, because they have gotten used to charging people directly or indirectly through intermediaries, and they don't particularly apply strict standards while judging how one is actually driving. So I would simply say that create a new testing kind of an organization, and people will say that if what will ensure that this organization also will not become like our existing RPOs, etc., and start accepting money and passing people. So there I would say that there are many good institutions that are directly or indirectly controlled by government, and where people are not saying that they have to pay fee to get the work done. For example, public sector bank is a large government enterprise only. So I have not heard people saying that, oh, people may say that service is bad and etc. However, nobody is saying that, I had to pay some 50 rupees to cashier before he accepted my cash, or I had to, slip a note of 100 rupee under the table so that he could give me new currency notes when I was withdrawing, etc., etc. So there are hundreds and thousands of people are employed in this public sector banks. uh, or the other example is the administration of passport processing, which is being done by now TCS. I hope I'm right, because the first outsourcing contract was given to them. So there also nobody is saying that we had to grease palms in order to expedite our application process, etc. And that process is also working well for last so many years. So I am sure that some reliable partner can be hired by the government, for administering tests that are very honest in testing the driving skills. So, please let me know what is your comment and response to this podcast, and we'll try to cover as a follow-up video. But first, we will complete our 10 episode series on the reforms that we expect from Modiji and BJP government. So we'll stop here today. Thank you very much and Jai Hind.